Good afternoon, everyone. We are here live on Twitter Spaces. We have some wonderful guests here to join us as we talk all things Diablo, specifically around the Q&A. And I know that we have a few special guests here to join us. I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thanks to Twitter Gaming for hosting this awesome opportunity to have a good discussion around Q&A around open beta that's coming up. And of course, another special thing that we do want to talk about this morning. But first, to our guests, we have Rod Ferguson, who is the GM of the Diablo franchise. We have Joe Shelley, who's the game director of Diablo IV. And we have Danny Rodriguez, also Daniela Rodriguez, who's our director of marketing for Diablo. And of course, myself, who's community lead for the Diablo franchise as well. Happy to have you guys here. And I guess like one of the first things that we do want to talk about is obviously everyone saw the really cool live action trailer that we had that came out this morning, and I think Danny wants to talk a little bit about that. She's actually part of this Twitter space specifically for that, and give a little bit more context in regards to the live action trailer, and of course the sweepstakes that we announced this morning. So, Danny, want to give us some more information on that?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Danny, the director of global marketing for Diablo IV, and I'm really happy to be here. Today was a really exciting day for us here, and hopefully for you all tuning in here to see a huge, literally huge project we've been working on behind the scenes. If you're listening in and haven't checked it out, kind of to what Adam was saying, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch it. It's up on our YouTube channel. It's called the Diablo IV beta live action trailer, and we also shared it earlier this morning on our Twitter page if you just want to hop on over there and scroll down if it's easier to just scroll down and check it out. But to essentially recap what we did while we're here is it's not what you would normally expect from a live action trailer. We actually decided to tell the story of Diablo IV by creating a massive Diablo themed masterpiece, and we had it painted for real on the ceiling of a deconsecrated cathedral in Cambrai, France. It's absolutely insane. We actually did it for real. There's also a behind the scenes video that shows and proves that we did it for real. And we're actually even considering maybe we have it open at some point so that you can triple believe me and go check it out yourself. Who knows? But why we're doing this, why we did this, if you guys haven't seen it already, but I'm sure a ton of you folks listening in have seen some of the artwork from Diablo 4, and you see that we're very inspired by great Gothic artworks like painters like Caravaggio, and we wanted to take that style that is so uniquely ownable by Diablo 4 and give it an epic scale treatment, which is essentially painting it on a huge ceiling. We couldn't have done this without our partners at 72 and Sunny. Like, so huge shout out to them. We've been working with them for quite a while on a ton of different Diablo works and even across all of ABK, Call of Duty, WoW. And we were so excited to work with them on this. We literally couldn't have done it without them. They really spearheaded bringing this to life with us and their production partners, Wildlife. They worked with an amazing artist called Adam Miller and his team of artists who, they brought into the fold and they are absolutely incredible. Like, go check out all of their work and show them some love and appreciation because what they do is absolutely insane. You can see all the work that went into this in the behind the scenes videos. So again, go check that out. I want to kind of cover like two things that I've been seeing. A lot of folks have been asking if it's Charles Dance who's narrating. Yes, it is. And the second thing that I wanted to cover is that you can enter for a chance to win your face painted within the walls of this church as part of this epic masterpiece. It's crazy. To enter, all you have to do is jump into the open beta, which hopefully you all are going to do anyways, create a class, and get it to max level, which is level 25, and you're in. You just have to make sure that you opt in. If you go to diablo4.com/beta sweepstakes, register, and you're signed up, classes that are made in early access don't count. They've got to be during open beta. But it would be really cool to enter for a chance to win something that is truly, truly unique. So really excited about this. I am so stoked for all of you to finally get your first hands look at Diablo 4 in the beta. It's going to blow your minds, hopefully just as this piece did for you two. Super excited for that, and also everything that we've got up our sleeves on the creative marketing side for launch. I think you're going to be really excited about what we're going to show up ahead.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny, for sharing more information about the live action trailer that everyone got to see this morning. It is real. I've seen so many comments that people have been saying like, "Oh, this is completely CG." There's a behind the scenes video and everything, as Danny had mentioned. So it is real, and of course, you get the opportunity to potentially win your face on the mural itself, which is really cool. And I know that I can't win myself, so I'm hoping people jump into the beta and they get the opportunity to put themselves into the sweepstakes. We do want to take some time.
I mean, who doesn't want to put their face on a church ceiling? I mean, it's just a thing you have to do, isn't it? Like, isn't that something you want to do?
I mean, that's like everyone's bulleted list, like before their bucket list before.
It's on their bucket list. Is I want to put my face on the ceiling of a cathedral. That sounds.
If
cool.
It wasn't already on their bucket list, it should be now.
It should be now, yeah. Well, but there's 25 is how you get into the sweepstakes, but there's things along the way, is there not?
Yes, there.
I think there's other rewards and awards you get for playing the beta. Yes, like my favorite, which is level 20. But there's the first title for getting to Kyovershad, which is finishing the prologue, and then there's another title for level 20, and then there's the beta puppy wolf pack for level 20. Who doesn't love a little sleeping puppy wolf that's on your back while you kill demons? I mean, it's so cool.
I just want to let everyone in the Diablo community know that Rod has been talking about this beta wolf pack every single day. So please get to level 20 so you all can have your own beta wolf pack, and Rod can shine from the stars because of that.
I mean, watching Joe put his face into his hands when hearing me talking about the beta wolf pack makes me think maybe I am overhyping it too much.
No,
but
you can't.
I have to say it at least once per day.
You can't overhype the beta wolf pack. That is the most adorable.
Sorry, I interrupted your flow, Adam, because I just don't like to sit here silently. So you keep going.
Of course. Well, we do have a lot of questions that a lot of the Diablo community actually did submit to the Diablo Twitter handle, and we do want to jump into those questions so that Rod and Joe can kind of go through them. There's a lot of good questions in here. We received a lot of questions, and we unfortunately can't get to them all, but we did end up grabbing some of them. I'm going to make an attempt to say these names on Twitter, but some people have got some crazy names, so I don't want to completely butcher it. But I will say our first question is actually specific to the cathedral and the sweepstakes and so forth. So this one's actually for Danny, but it's from Max on Twitter. He says, can I enter in this cathedral sweepstakes more than once? Is the opportunity for humans only? Or if I win, could I theoretically have my dog on the ceiling? Such a cool opportunity. Thank you.
So it is only one entry. So if you get multiple classes up to max level, it doesn't count. It's just you just gotta do it once. As for putting your dog in the ceiling, I think after just hearing Rod talking about being very pro puppies on your back, think we could potentially work out maybe you have a puppy pack on your back. But definitely want to showcase your face on this. You're the legend that got to max level and kicked butt in the trailer. So definitely want to show you up there. But if there's a little puppy riding on your back while you're slaying demons, that could be really cool to see.
Just Danny committing to stuff live and on air. That's stuff that not yet before decided that Danny is just like all in on. So, a lot of people are now reacting and scrambling because of what Danny's talking about. So just so you know.
Adam Miller and his team are probably like, we don't specialize in puppies.
Exactly. Way to play it, Danny. You're like, sure, we can add more stuff. It's only people painting on the ceiling. That's all. It's super simple, easy to do.
All right. Second question we have. This is from My List One. What about crossplay in Diablo 4? Will it be only between different generations of consoles? For example, PS4 can play with PS5, or full-scale crossplay where everyone can play with every single platform, PC, PlayStation, and Xbox?
Oh, I went with this one because Joe's going to handle most of the rest of them. So, crossplay is full crossplay and cross progression. So you can play PS4 with PC, PS5 with Xbox. You can do, you can mix and match as you want. But it's not only crossplay where you can play with others. You can actually cross progress. So if you want to, you could, play on your Xbox at home and then go into work and play on your PC during only at lunch. I'm sure you would never do it during work hours, but you can play on PC. You can drop and go and play on your PlayStation and progress the same characters. So those characters that you have will exist on all the platforms you own the game for.
Perfect. Next question comes from Diablo Next. In which languages will the beta be available?
I can take that one again because, again, the more detailed stuff is going to be Joe. But basically, the game is currently being localized into 13 languages, a mixture of text and audio. And so the beta will represent those 13 languages. But because of the beta is pre-release software, as we like to say, it will not have necessarily complete localization when you play it. So, but they will be localized to the point of where they are when we made that build.
So beta not fully localized, but final obviously completely localized. But you still have there will still be beta or localization in the beta for at least text for most of it and a little bit for VO.
Yeah, for all the 13 languages we support.
Awesome. And then I'm not going to butcher this name, so I'm not going to actually say who it is. But Ajularita, I don't know. See, this is really bad. Why did they hire me for this? Will we have the possibility?
I ask that question every day, Adam. I ask the question every day.
Single day. You wait at the door every single morning as soon as I walk in. Will we have the possibility to save customized character appearance setups from the beta?
So you won't be able to save them from the beta to release, although there's the character. I assume you're talking about character appearance, and there's no power associated with that, so it's totally something. That's a really cool idea. But what I suggest is if you make a character that you think is really cool in the beta, just take a screenshot of it, and then you can set it up again in live.
Cool. Awesome. And yeah, the obviously you guys can play around with the character customization in beta, and of course during the full game there's a ton of customization you can of course do to your character in Diablo 4. From Bunpan, can you tell us a little bit more about the beta? Oh, this is perfect for Rod, but can you tell us a little bit more about the beta wolf puppy? Does his backpack or her backpack also have an anti-magic barriers for protection? Do they sleep well during battles, or will they be asking their owners for nose boops? Most importantly, can we pet them?
So no, so as we talked about in sort of previous blogs, and as we talk about things like it's all cosmetic, so there's no power benefit to the puppy wolf pack or the beta wolf pack, and so. We haven't shown all the animation because I think he actually yawns at some point. So that's that's where we're going to be when we want to push it over the cuteness edge. We're going to show you what it looks like yawning. But no, so it will sleep the entire time you're fighting. And you can't pet that particular dog, but you can pet dogs in the world. So your puppy stays safe in its backpack and doesn't hop down. So no petting of the puppy.
If you want to RP though, you can try to make sure that you're always facing enemies since the puppy is on your back. So just try to make sure no fireballs hit him.
And Diablo 4 has hardcore, so just feel the guilt of losing your character with that puppy pack on you. So you don't want that if you're playing hardcore, which is important. Another question from Kix, Joe, and Rod, and Danny. As Diablo employees, what character classes will you be selecting during the beta and why?
So I think I'll probably play the druid in beta. The druid is the class that I've spent the least time with over the development. And the druid is incredibly cool. It has it's each of our classes has its own unique class mechanic, and druid's class mechanic is especially awesome. Now it's actually not in the beta itself. It's in Skosglen, because Skosglen is natural has a natural association with the druids. But the druid transformation into a bear and werewolf, you can because the way that it works is when you use a skill that requires that you're a bear, you turn into a bear automatically, and then you remain in bear form for a little bit. So you can stay in bear form as long as you want by simply using skills that are associated with being a bear.
Perfect. Actually, I'll go to Rod next. Rod, what class do you plan on playing during beta?
Anybody who's following me on Twitter would know very easily what class I'm going to be playing in the open beta when it's available, which is the Necromancer, because I just got the Necromancer class symbol tattooed on my body as my sacrifice to our mother Lilith. So so I think in early access I'm probably going to go Rogue, but then in open beta I'm going to go Necro.
Rogue for Rod. Danny, what about yourself?
Oh man, I mean, I gotta say druid, because then you can be a wolf with a little puppy pack. No? Anybody? No? All right. Adam, who are you gonna run as?
I already gave my answer on the live stream, which is Druid, because I'm a Druid fanboy and have always been since Diablo 2. But the Rogue is a secondary one that I will probably be playing even at launch, just because it's the most flashy class, I personally think. Or even it's just crazy in terms of flashiness. So I feel like if you want to be a show off, you go for the Rogue. All right. Next question. This one may be good for Danny. Does the beta live action trailer hint at any spoilers in the game? Should we be combing through the pictures on the ceiling?
You know, it's taking everything in me to try and repress Rod's face is somewhere up there, but it's not. But no spoilers in there. It really just tells generically kind of the stories of our heroes. You'll see the rogue, barbarian, druid, necro, and sork, all fighting against the different evils that you'll face in Diablo IV. And then eventually they make their way up to the grand finale, which is Lilith, and you see her huge in the back dome of the church. So nothing necessarily spoiler in that one, just the overall battle against evil and Lilith, and a hero's journey through Diablo 4.
All right, next question. This is from Doomscream. I know this person, big person in the Diablo community. What could we expect in terms of crafting systems during the beta?
So Diablo 4's crafting at launch is focused around item modification. And a lot of that item modification becomes especially relevant as you get toward the end game. So you'll be able to do some things like upgrade your item, the power of your items at the blacksmith in beta. But a lot of the crafting systems are the kinds of things, when you're leveling up, especially at early levels, you're getting new gear pretty frequently. And so when you're modifying that gear, it doesn't always make sense to put a lot of time into a specific item. But as you get into the late game, that starts to make a whole lot more sense. So a lot of our item crafting, our item modification systems come in sort of later in the game.
All right, next question from Randy Savage. Probably not the wrestler. but someone who is a big Randy Savage fan. How will spellcasters work with the controller? Is Meteor, for example, set to a predetermined distance or closest monster to you?
Yes. So in Diablo 4, we put a lot of effort into making the controller feel like a a comparable control scheme to the mouse and keyboard. And so part of that is making sure that the targeting systems on the controller work effectively. So first off, we added target lock, so you can specify, you can lock onto a specific enemy. And your skills, for example, Meteor will target that enemy. You can move between targets that are locked, so you can lock a target and then move to another target. It will also try to smartly adjust your target lock. If you're killing enemies, it'll try to continue to lock on intelligently enemies that are in the same direction as those enemies. And this makes it really effective for sort of a kiting type of strategy. And of course, you don't have to be locked onto an enemy to effectively fight. If you're casting your skills that are targeted at an area like Meteor will try to target a logical and intelligent place to hit, so that the Meteor is effective at hitting a lot of enemies at once.
All right. Next question that we have here is from Ubear. Is there a server region separation, or is it possible to play the beta with people from other continents?
So the way this works is, in general, the game is going to, as you're running around the world and you're sort of happening across other players, you're going to tend to happen across other players that are relatively close to you in terms of their latency, because that's going to result in the best play experience. But you can actually invite anyone from anywhere in the world to your party and play with them.
All right. And then next question from Magic Man. Will Diablo 4 be a return to darkness? I feel like it will be, just based off of things we've known, but I don't know if Rod or Joe want to clarify.
I think that I always go back to the formula that we always talk about with like the when you're thinking about how Diablo 4 pays homage to the past and then brings forward its own innovation. So the notion around, I always say when I talk about it, and Joe and I talk about it, it's the dark tone that you think about when you think about Diablo 1. It's sort of the kind of that permanent progression, the progression systems that you feel in Diablo 2. It's that visceral combat and exciting combat you have in Diablo 3, and then the innovations of Diablo 4 itself with its shared open world and so much choice and freedom that you have in the game, and character creation and who you play with and how you play through the story. But that phrase "return to darkness" is really means a lot to us on the team, because we actually use that as it's sort of our kind of our motto. That we didn't want to use it too much publicly, just because you have to understand what Diablo was to understand what does it mean to return to darkness. And so that's why you see even today in the cathedral piece, it says "deliver us from evil," which is really more of how we want to talk about it. Like, this is your job, as you're fighting the daughter of hatred, and so you help deliver sanctuary from evil. But that idea of going back to what was that tone, that sort of where it was almost it felt like you were doing something a little bit naughty, like by playing this sort of occult-based game that is full of demons and darkness and those sorts of themes. And I think you're going to get that in the beta. We know when people played the preview in November, like the second cinematic in the game pretty much sets the tone pretty quickly. So if you have any questions, and very quickly you'll understand that it's dark.
Yeah, one of the things I think it's really, and you kind of hit on it, Rod, is the darkness applies to both the tone of the game and the tone of the world and the tone of the story and your experiences in the game, and it also applies to the actual lighting. So if you'd had a chance to check out the intro cinematic for the game, where you're riding on the horse, there's a lot of dark scenes dark lighting scenes in that. And one of the things that we've spent a lot of time on is getting that mix of darkness in terms of the actual lighting in the world correct, so that it helps reinforce the dark tone without obstructing gameplay, right? Because you need to be able to see the enemies you're fighting.
All right, next question. This one I'm not sure how much we can answer, but I think there's a good maybe a tie into even the prior answer. But anything about this from Void? Anything about Lilith? I want to know more about her.
Well, what I would suggest, you're going to learn a lot more about Lilith from playing the beta. She's a key character, as you might imagine, including through the early levels of the game. So you're going to learn a lot more than I could tell you right here.
But the thing, like, what's really interesting is around the idea that, well, first of all, we know she's the daughter of hatred. We know that she's the daughter of Mephisto, and we know that she helped create Sanctuary with the Angel of Nereus. And the question about, like, what's her motivations and why is she back this time? It's personal. No, like the notion about why is she returned to Sanctuary. But I think what's really interesting is, like, one of the nice things about Diablo IV, I think sometimes the 4 can be a little intimidating for players, where they go and look at, oh, there's been 3 games previous. Like, this is, Diablo is like 27 years old. It's been around a while. Like, and that's something that's part of what's exciting about it. It is such a storied franchise. But I think the idea that Diablo 4 can be a little intimidating because you feel like, oh, I'm coming in on the 4th version. What does that mean? Am I missing out? Am I missing part of the story? And I'm here to say, no, that's not the case. We've got a lot of separations. Like, was it, Joe, like 25 years between D3 and D4? And you're coming into, sorry, I had my thing. You were probably talking. I talked over you. I apologize.
About 40.
What did you say?
About 40.
So the notion that there's a big enough separation between them that you can come in cold and never having played a Diablo game before, and this is a great time to be a Diablo player, and you get to go in and experience the story that you don't need to have a lot of backstory to understand. Everything is sort of clearly laid out. It's all new characters that, in the sense that we're not relying a lot on the past, other than sort of the primevals and kind of the origin of the Sanctuary. But even that gets explained to you as you're playing through. So when I look at, like, one of the things that's great about a game that has evolved over 27 years is that, we saw when we brought back Diablo 2 Resurrected, we saw, like, whoa, what a 21-year-old game felt like. And it's a lot of great stuff, but also some rough edges. And what's nice is that we were able to continue to sand those rough edges down. And now Diablo 4 feels great to play. And it's really an easy game to on board with. And so I really hope that people come to it, even if they've never played a Diablo game before.
I just want to add in that playing the beta, as Joe mentioned, is a great way to learn more about Lilith. Great way. And it kind of ties back into even what Rod was mentioning in the prior answer of something to keep an eye out during beta. Next question is from Dan the Postman. Can you share more information about the Necromancer before the beta? I'll leave that to Joe and Rod.
So, the Necromancer is a really interesting class, and there's a reason that this class keeps returning to the franchise. It represents a different play style, a very distinct play style from some of the other play styles that you see. You have this sort of idea of commanding an army, and there's a lot of really interesting things you can do with that. You can set up builds that have you as the Necro standing behind your army of skeletons, or of your abomination, or you can have a build that sacrifices some of those, that has more of the player up front, and it's something that's really sort of really different, and it's such a fundamental part of Diablo. And with Diablo 4, we've because the Necromancer has appeared in previous Diablo games, we have people who've played the Necromancer in other Diablo games, and 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 they'll say, oh, the D2 was my favorite, or D3 was my favorite, or whatever. And they're they're correctly expecting that they'll be able to recapture that gameplay experience in D4. So the Necro is really a very diverse kind of character in terms of its gameplay.
All right. Will co-op communication be enabled during beta? Voice, text, etc.
Yes, you will be able to use text and voice. Yeah, in beta.
Cool. So this next question is from Xanth. The Xanth is actually someone who hosts a very popular community Diablo podcast. And it's actually a question that we have not answered before and has some new information specifically for this Twitter space, which is really cool. So his question is, what's the Druid class mechanic? Because I don't think we've actually gone over that really. And I'm not sure if you want to dive into that, Joe.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do the full strategy guide breakdown on it. Just trying to do it over over an interview. I would leave stuff out, but I'll give you some high level info. So as I mentioned before, the druid is closely aligned with Skosglen, which is our green sort of Moors zone. And as they level up, around when they head over to Skosglen, which will be around level 15 likely. And again, in beta, you'll be able to access all of the Fractured Peaks zone, but you won't be able to go to Skosglen. So you'll have to wait for the live game to check this out. But it's very cool because you'll be able to interact with 4 different spirit animals that live in the Turdulra area of Skosglen. And these spirits will accept boons that you can get from enemies. Enemies will drop boons. You can interact with the spirits to give them these boons, and the boons will actually unlock additional bonuses for the player. Now, you can only choose one spirit to be aligned with at a time, but you can switch them back and forth. So as you unlock the boons for different spirits, and you can eventually unlock all of the boons for all the spirits, you'll be able to choose, depending on what kind of gameplay you're doing at the moment, you'll be able to choose which spirit you want to be aligned with. And in fact, once you've unlocked all of them, you'll even get the additional ability to have a bond with one extra spirit. So you'll get access to 5 boons instead of 4.
Awesome. Cool. First information we've heard about the Druid class mechanic right here, which is good. And people will be able to experience it during beta, of course, when you get to play the Druid. And then we have a question from Craig Thompson. From a gamer who has never played a Diablo game before, what are the key reasons why I should consider buying the upcoming Diablo 4?
I thought Rod was going to jump in and tell us more about the Wolf Pack. But you actually don't have to buy the game to get that. You just have to play in beta. Well, I think that Diablo 4 is the best Diablo game that we've ever made. And it's not because we're superheroes or something. It's just the team has been working incredibly hard on it for some years now, and we have a lot of foundation in terms of previous Diablo games that players have loved to learn from, and we've been able to reach out to an incredible community, including the folks who are here today, to get feedback on how to make the game the best that it can be.
All right. And last question that we have is, are we allowed to freely stream the early access beta? I can answer this one, I guess, but you can. Yes, you can stream early access beta, and you can also stream during open beta. It's fully available for people to actually stream and share with any of their communities that they may have on Twitch or YouTube or other platforms that they actually prefer to stream on. So, but I think that is all the time we have right now for this Diablo Q&A. I don't know if anyone has any parting words from Rod, Joe, Danny, from your ends, if you want to say anything else back to the Diablo community.
Yeah, I do. I want to make sure I was clear about the druid mechanics, because I know some folks are going to put this up later, and people will be asking how it works. So to be totally clear, when you've got all the spirits unlocked, you'll be able to choose one boon from each spirit and 2 boons from one of them for a total of 5. Got really nerdy there. Sorry.
That's perfect. It's perfect. Anything for you, Jenny?
I think I kind of covered it in the upfront, but kind of to echo a bit of what Joe was covering in one of the last questions is just this game is Diablo cranked up to an 11. It's really cool, all the hard work that Joe, Rod, the dev team, like they've put in so much love and care into this game, and it really, really shows. And what we really are inspired by when we're looking at, how we market this game in really creative ways, like our cathedral activation. We really look at what makes Diablo 4 unique, and something that we're really inspired by is just the amount of choice that you have in it. Like, you've got so much unprecedented freedom to just choose how you want to play, what class you want to play, how you want to play, how you want to customize that class, whether how it looks, its appearance, or even like your play style, where you want to go. Do you want to team up with friends? Do you not? So that was just something that I think really echoes in the piece that we created. You're going to get to experience it firsthand, and can't wait to see all the bananas customization that people are going to probably share on social as soon as they step in. I'm super looking forward to random red eyes on like super white bodies and just crazy things. But super excited. Can't wait for you guys to play it, and see you there.
I think for me, I just wanted to comment to say, like, this is another time for the community to help with us with the game. Like, oftentimes a beta will be seen as sort of this, it's essentially a demo under a different name, the quote unquote marketing beta. And for us, it's not really that. It's a combination. We want people to get an experience with the game. You get to play the entire first act. Like, it's a lot, that experience you get to have with the game. But it's going to help us a lot with the game. It's in terms of, what is the balance of that first act, but also just having all these players show up. One of the things we want is for the launch to be as smooth as possible. And one of the ways we do that is have these 2 focused betas to get as many players in playing as possible, so we can test our servers, we can test all the technology we have running the game. So, and we want to hear your feedback. We want to hear if you saw some issues, because again, it's a beta and it's early. If you have some feedback about the balance or the way things certain work, like, this is a great time to give us that input as we're getting ready to close down this game and ship it to you on June 6th, but really we've got the early access happening on June 1st. So please hop in, test it out, and at least get to 20. I mean, you want the dog, right? Like, you want the wolf, but at least hop in, play both weekends if you can, and let us know what you think.
Awesome. Yeah, and just a reminder for everyone, we're going to be, we do have a beta guide blog up on Diablo4.com. So if you guys have any questions related to the beta, make sure to reference that blog post that we have up there. We'll be updating that again here in March, a little bit before the beta, to actually give some additional information, including preload times and so forth from that end. But a huge thanks to Twitter Gaming for having us and for hosting this. And a huge thanks, of course, to Rod, Joe, and Danny for joining us here. Just wanted to say, looking forward to jumping into the beta with all the Diablo community, and of course, on behalf of the Diablo developers here at Blizzard, and of course, everyone here, thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you guys in beta.